You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about friends reconnecting. I'm MJ.
And I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And this week, we are picking up My Boyfriend and Yours, codename Archangel, all-around Turian bad boy and dispenser of justice in an unjust world.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So
it's very important that people know.
So about that summary.
Well, no. First, we have to explain to people that we were going to have our good friend David Boyle with us.
Oh, that's right.
But he couldn't make it, so fret not. We will have him at some point. He cannot escape us.
Yeah, he will be on a future episode, but we weren't able to make the schedules work out, so we are continuing on without him.
Okay, so summary of Archangel. Before we leave Omega, there's someone else to pick up, a mysterious vigilante known only as Archangel. Arya dishes that he pissed off every major merc group in the station, forcing them to band together to take him out. The only way to get to him is to join these mercs and mess up their plans. Shepard's team has no trouble getting the job and have plenty of opportunities to sabotage the Blue Suns, Blood Pack, and Eclipse along the way. Once the mercs realize Shepard's true goal, it's already too late. Shepard comes face to face with Archangel only to learn that he's really her old friend, Garrus Vakarian. No time for a heartfelt reunion, though. The mercs put up a fight, and Garrus gets badly hurt in the process. It's not too bad, though. Some women like facial scars.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. This mission, I remembered being pretty straightforward, but I had forgotten quite how short it was. It's pretty much a tower defense almost.
Yeah.
Like, you just go, you kill a couple bad guys, go defend Garrus, and then leave. Like, there's not much more to it than that.
The basement phase is my least favorite.
With the shutters?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that bit does kind of suck a bit.
We'll talk about it in depth.
We'll get there. But first, did you check in with everybody again on the ship? Of course. Who doesn't? What am I talking about?
Check-ins are part of our outline.
They are. They always are. And so, of course, I leave the meeting room and start with Kelly Chambers, who says I have a message. And I go check that message. I don't even remember what it was, but definitely nothing that was important. It wasn't from anyone that really mattered, I don't think. But I had a one-off message. I check in with her, and she does the whole, I hope I wasn't too forward. I hope that was okay thing.
Oh, yeah, because I didn't flirt with her, so I didn't have that conversation.
And I did, and I wonder about that. Like, does the writing team put that because it's a woman flirting with a superior officer and it's kind of like they have their heads up their asses and it's sexist dialogue? Or is she really just someone who genuinely cares about you and doesn't want to overstep boundaries?
Definitely the latter, because I have flirted with her in the past.
I assume it's the latter also, but, you know, they haven't always been perfect at that, this writing staff. And so as a male player playing a male character, I'm noticing things that I didn't notice before, and I'm also kind of hypersensitive to other things, just to make sure. So I check in with her, and then, you know, I make my rounds. The check-ins this time are kind of short, though. Yeah. I do have the ice brandy and the cup links.
I did as well.
So I completed those missions.
Yes.
And my favorite things...
Okay, I'm going to stop you for a second before you tell me your favorite things.
Yes.
Because you're jumping around a lot.
Okay.
So let's just go in order.
Sure. Cool. Why don't you lead on then?
Okay, cool. It's just I don't want you to go here, then here, then here, then here. Straight line. Let's go from Kelly. Well, actually, let's stay with Kelly for a second, because she also had some opinions about Morden. Okay. He's like a hamster on coffee.
Yes.
What I like about Kelly is that you're going to get a lot of feedback from her like that. Mm-hmm. She's going to give you kind of a succinct, like, I have chatted with this person, and here's what I can tell you about them. Go forth with this information and deal with them as you will.
She's like a nicer Joker, because Joker gives you the similar assessment of every character. Right. But he's a little more blunt, to say the least.
Yeah, he can give you opinions about the crew. There is also the ongoing battle between Joker and Edie. Just the constant back and forth where he kind of like does a dig at her, but because she's an AI and she doesn't really have a sense of humor yet, she's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
the ship through its paces, and she
Right.
advises that you shouldn't do that while the ship is on and it's full of the crew and like traveling through sensitive space or whatever. And like, yeah, he's frustrated and kind of put off that this thing exists and is stopping him from doing his job the way he wants to do it.
Yeah. He liked it when the old Normandy was quiet and not constantly reminding him that the airlock is ajar. Edie had no new updates.
Nope.
Kelly gave her opinions on Morden's. Morden.
So yeah, you get to get a little bit of background about Morden, the special task force he was with, which was focused on the genophage. You get, if you dig for it, a nice little tete-a-tete about Kirahi, and he does even an impression of Kirahi. Hold the line, and then makes a comment about being all bluster. It was very funny.
Kind of a cloaca.
It was pretty
my
funny.
favorite line.
Yeah, it was really funny to hear him talk about pretty much the only famous Solarian in the last game, which is obnoxious. But
Right.
like, it's obnoxious that that's the only Solarian to reference, rather.
Right. He's very matter of fact. We finally get the other side of the genophage, whereas with Rex, it was always something holding his people back, and Morden offers kind of a further understanding of why it was done and what his part in it was. Still disagree with the genophage, but now I understand what went into it.
Yeah, and it does sound like Morden, like, not everything's cut and dry for him.
Yeah.
He does have some regrets, but he doesn't get into great detail about it. He just kind of gives you the cliff notes of what he did, what he was a part of, and why they did it.
Right, and he did believe in it.
Yeah.
So
At the time, for sure.
he's very practical. Let's see. Jacob, he suggested a ship upgrade.
Yep, and he also, with me, is just asking how formal he should be in the future, whereas I told him to be super casual. He can talk off the record. I don't care. And made some comparisons to each other when talking about getting the job done and doing whatever it takes and having this sense of righteousness. We related over that.
How flirty is your conversation with Jacob?
Not very.
See, no matter what I chose, it was kind of a flirty conversation.
Yeah.
And, Shepard says, I'm more interested in talking for a bit. And I'm like, that is a come on.
Well, Male Shepard experiences the same thing with Miranda, who I imagine we'll be talking about next.
Yeah.
When you talk to her about her past, in this conversation, you get to dig in more about her father and her mistreatment and why she trusts Cerberus. No matter what your response is, for the most part, it's something to bolster her, where she goes, well, that's really nice of you, Shepard, and, her voice goes up. And so, you can tell it's evolving beyond respect, and it's but I just want to say a nice thing. I don't want to come on to you.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just structured that way.
Yeah. I don't like that every conversation with Jacob has to be a flirt. Why do I have to flirt with him?
Right.
I don't actually want to. I'd like to be nice to him.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like what people had in Mass Effect 1 with Kaidan. They were trying to be nice to Kaidan, and it wound up being you're kind of in a relationship now, and how did that happen?
Well, right. That was my worry with Liara, is that if I wasn't a jerk to her, I was going to have been in a relationship with her, and I did not want that.
Right. As you mentioned, we did get more background on Miranda. I'm starting to understand her better. We have different values, but I get why she joined Cerberus. I get why she wanted to run away from her father.
Yeah.
And I also understand why she respects the elusive man so much.
Yeah, she also, I feel like, comparing all of the human characters for a second, she is the one who has the most interesting evolution, only because her tone never really changes. Your understanding of her tone does.
Yeah.
She doesn't carry herself any differently around you because she is who she is, with some minor exception, but your understanding changes the framework of it. Whereas I feel with the other characters, especially Jacob, you're mentioning, once there's a chance for him to be interested or be your bro, his whole demeanor changes.
Yeah.
He changes himself, or lets maybe his true self out, per se.
Yeah, Jacob is very guarded. Miranda is guarded in a different way.
Yeah.
What she chooses to guard is different.
She seems guarded in the way a woman would be guarded being given the short end of the stick for a large chunk of her life.
Right.
Which makes sense.
No update from Gardner because we have not gone shopping for him yet.
Nope.
But we did have the Sarah's Ice Brandy, so we got to hang out with our space mom.
We did. I was a little annoyed here. There's no option to not drink. Like, to have a drink let her drink and you hang out. It's either you drink with her or you save it for later.
Right.
And as a person who's not drinking alcohol and was trying to make my shepherd do the same, that wasn't an option. So I did drink with her, as I'm sure you did as well. Mm-hmm. And I was a little annoyed because as a sober person, I wanted to be sober in the game. And there's no way to complete that mission and be sober, and I didn't like that. It's a minor nitpick.
Well, you can complete it, just not the way that you wanted to.
Right. And so that's a bit of a bummer for me.
Yeah.
Because you can't hang out with her if you don't drink together.
Yeah. And I kind of get what the thought process was.
You're celebrating together, and people who celebrate together will have a drink together. And so my logic is I only have one drink instead of many. And also, again, in real life, I'm not sober because I was an alcoholic. I was sober due to digestive reasons. And so my logic for my shepherd would be, well, I'd suffer through a stomachache for Space Mom.
Yeah, I love her so much. She's so well written.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that you can end this conversation right away. You can choose one of the first three to toast two options and it's over, or you can keep asking her about more things, and it gives you a huge wheel of choices of what to cheers to.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious what you chose.
I was going to ask you what you chose.
All right, I'll go first. So I cheers to the Fallen.
I chose to Friends.
Yeah, I cheers to the Fallen, which of course then is for Ashley Jenkins and everyone else who we've lost along the... Oh, and what's his name? Navigator Presley are the three names that she mentions, and then everyone else we've lost along the way.
Yeah.
Who does she cheers to when we do Friends? Is it Joker?
I don't remember, actually. I have no idea.
That's all right. Yeah, I always try and pick something I haven't picked before here, but I honestly have trouble remembering. Because while it's a great little scene, at the end of the day, it's unfortunately not super memorable. It's very isolated, and it's very specific and focused. There's not a lot of deviations, and so as a moment, it doesn't sit in my head super memorably, even though it's still a really cool moment to have.
Yeah. And then after you guys get drunk... Chakwas is like curled up on one of the beds.
Yeah.
And the room is moving.
Yeah, well, and you're standing over her as if to insinuate that you put her there because she had passed out. And so then you wander the next deck a little staggered and unable to move straight, essentially. Yeah. The screen moves.
As soon as you leave the med bay, it stops.
More or less, yeah.
As you're moving through the med bay, everything is wibbly wobbly.
Yeah.
It's very disorienting.
Which is a simulated drunkenness that you'll get if you drink too much at the bar at whatever location you're at that has a bar. Mm-hmm. After that, I imagine we went to the twins.
They're not twins.
I know.
Very important.
That's true, yeah.
Ken and Gabby.
The besties, the engineers,
yes.
Whatever you want to call them. And they thank you for getting the couplings installed, and then ask if you want to play some Skillian Blitz, which you can or can't. And if you do, you get a Renegade or Paragon option to kind of lull them into a forced sense of security. I, of course, took the Paragon option, which is like, you're going to go easy on a new guy, right? Like, I'm not experienced, and then you take them for everything they're worth.
Yep.
And win 500 credits. And Gabby is smitten just because of the stupefied look you put on Ken's face.
Yep.
Which I enjoyed.
She's very happy that you took him down a peg.
Yeah. And I love them. I enjoy them. I wish they were more a part of the story. I
mean, we get them back later.
We do, and, there is more dialogue with them, but, like, I would totally bring them on a mission to, like, deactivate robots or, like, hack into stuff.
They're needed on the Normandy. They're important.
True. That's true.
Okay. Zaid.
So yeah, Zaid's interesting because he's a DLC character. You can have story time with Zaid. It's not really a conversation. You click on objects in his room, and he tells the story of those objects. And one of the objects that has the largest amount of story is his now retired assault rifle.
Yeah. Named Jesse.
And
important.
You can click on it like 5 or 6 times, and you get this whole narrative of how much this gun means to him. And for a foul-mouthed, angry, powerful Mark, this branches into more sentimental. Like, he does seem to be getting teared up as he talks about it towards the end, like emotional, which was interesting because also in the same sentence he's talking about blood and guts. It was really interesting. I like Zaid is a character because he kind of is the character who just says what's on his chest. He doesn't really think before he speaks, which I can relate to a little bit. I have a tendency, although for me it'd be me putting my foot in my mouth. Zaid just doesn't care.
Right.
But it was cool to kind of get a little bit of his background. You can also play with the trash compactor.
Yes, I played with the trash compactor. I want to know why he has access to the cameras.
Yeah, the security systems. It's just a little creepy.
Yeah. And it bothers me that you can't actually talk to Zaid the way you can talk to everyone else.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's because he was a last minute addition and you can, like, create scenes with him.
Right. And also
Sure.
the way they integrated him, they recorded his dialogue, I assume, in bulk and then added it to where they could. And so it was easier, instead of having conversations back and forth, to just have him stand there and talk at you, which is fine. Again, I think he's an interesting character, but from a meta level, I wish he was more integrated into the story a little more.
And that's everybody that we can talk to. We hop back over to Omega.
Yeah, and so this time, when we get back to Omega, I do that mission that you and Drew talked about last time, where you get harassed by the Batarians, and they're like, oh, you want to fight? And you go, see this? My gun? You don't want to fight me. And they're like, all right, whatever, you can go. Like, so I clearly that's not time-based. It's you can do it if you interact with them at any point. And then before doing this mission that we were doing for this episode, I did do the Patriarch mission.
I did too.
Okay.
Good, I'm glad.
So Patriarch is a Krogan who lives on Omega. He's become somewhat of an advisor to Arya, but though he feels more like a kept pet because he was in charge. You find out he was in charge of Omega before Arya arrived and essentially duped him and took over. And instead of killing him, used him because that's how she operates. Before she kills you, if you are of value, she will keep you and use you to her best advantage.
Right.
And you find out that mercs are going to try and kill him because he's running his mouth.
Right. So Arya wants you to get him somewhere safe and protect him. But Patriarch doesn't quite want to do that. He feels that it's weak to just hide himself away, and that's exactly what Arya wants.
Yeah, he is talking about, that's when you get his backstories. Once you get to him, he talks about how he feels manipulated and feels like less of a Krogan and doesn't want to hide and wants to fight in a blaze of glory, even if that means dying. And you can tell that there's a little bit of this, like, if I have to live like this, I'd rather die kind of feel from him. Mm-hmm. But you do, if you have the Paragon or a Renegade skill available, you can suggest the option to fight on his behalf and go take out these assassins, and it'll make him look good, like he has influence.
I'm pretty sure the Renegade option is actually not to fight on his behalf.
You don't. You just let him go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
But either way, it's not... Both of those options are not what Arya wants. The option that's non-Renegade or Paragon is the option to make him hide, and he listens to you and then goes and hides.
Yeah.
And so I chose the Paragon option, which
I agreed to kill the assassins for the Patriarch.
Yeah. And so you do that. And at first I thought it was a fight that you have in the hall, but it's not.
No, it's just a scene.
It's a cutscene, which
you,
is pretty
punch
funny.
A guy and then your friends shoot
them. And it's just, and
it's
then
kind
it's
of
done.
silly.
And then you go back to him and he thanks you. And when you go back to Arya, she pretty much looks you square in the eye and goes, that's not what I fucking wanted. But he's still alive, so... this is fine. Like, essentially, like, I got the result, but it's not the way I wanted it.
I cannot argue with your results, but I am displeased with your method.
Pretty much, yeah. Because she feels like now she may have to watch her back from Patriarch, which is kind of the point of the whole thing. It was fun to meet an aged Krogan who wasn't Rex, just because... he did really feel like this kind of old war general, which you didn't really see a lot of Krogans like that in the first game, or even in this game. They're all young mercenaries, brash. They don't really like to talk. They're very short with you and just want to cut to the chase. This is one who will wax eloquent and will talk and regale you with stories, which is pretty neat to engage with. Right. Because it was outside the norm of what Krogans at least appeared to be at this point.
Yeah. It gave the Krogan people some depth.
Yes.
Another thing that I did in Afterlife before going to Arya again was there's a bartender on the lowest level of Afterlife.
I didn't do that one.
I ordered a drink.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm in a bar.
Right.
So I ordered a drink, and then I went down.
Oh.
I got poisoned.
Oh, no.
for some reason, I survived. My friends got me out of there. There was a human nearby who was like, yeah, there's a dude and there's a Batarian in there who hates humans. I'm surprised you're alive. So you can go back and be like, what the fuck? And, like, you throw down, and he tries to tell you, like, you're imagining it. Here, let me pour you another drink on the house. And then you can take the renegade option, which I believe is, like, you getting violent with him.
Uh-huh.
Or you can take the paragon option, which is making a scene. And I chose to make a scene. Where it was like, everyone listen. He hates humans. Your drink could be poisoned. Who's next? Turians. You hate them too, right? And then this Turian man comes up and he's like, what the fuck's she talking about? Are you poisoning people? And as the Batarian bartender is trying to be like, no, everything's fine. The Turian man who walked up, his name is Ogren, he just, like, shoots him dead.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, dang, Ogren. And he was like, I don't want to risk it. I don't want to get poisoned.
Yeah, I didn't engage in that mission because I did what I always do in the bars in Omega. I walked up to the counter because I forgot that's what happens, and then I pushed away aggressively.
Yep.
Because I don't drink.
Right. And, like, what else was I going to say about it? Oh, you go back, and there's a Solarian bartender, and he's like, oh, yeah, I've been instructed that you get free drinks.
Oh, nice.
Because you almost died. So, yeah.
Free drinks for life.
Free drinks for me.
Because you got drugged and almost killed.
Yeah, that could have been much worse for, like, FemShep as a woman.
Yeah, that could have... the fact that it was poison and they chose to be poison, I think, was a good move.
Yes.
Because if it was any other kind of drugging or situation, it could feel much worse than it was.
Yeah. It's bad on a completely different level as FemShep. Because that's, like, an actual danger that femme people have. Like,
right.
Day to day.
Sure.
I cannot trust someone who wants to get me a drink unless I watch it poured from the bartender and it goes straight to me.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it could be a little triggering for someone who might have gone down that road before and had that experience. So something to keep in mind, though, if you've played it already, it's a little late for the warning. It's hard to remember the path that some of these missions take just because the smaller missions are harder to remember.
Yeah. But I'm glad that I was able to go back and this guy got some comeuppance, specifically dead.
Right, and that your friends were there to protect you and help you, which is also good. Oh, while you're on Omega before the mission, who do you have with you?
I have Morden and Zaid because
so do
fuck
I.
Miranda and Jacob.
Same. Also, they're funnier.
Yeah. Also, why does FemShep dance like a lame white dude?
Because male chef also dances like a lame white dude.
Like, it's not fair
dance.
to FemShep.
It's true.
Don't make me suffer for you.
Although I feel like in the first game, both of them danced differently. But I don't remember, to be honest. But I feel like their dancing animations were the same. But yeah, for those wondering what the dancing animation is, it's like a two-step with your feet, with your arms at your side. Yeah. Kind of like bopping.
Like, I don't really want to be here. I'm kind of bored.
But I'm going to dance anyway.
Like, it's not good. Anyway.
Where are the options, BioWare, for dancing? I want my dance options.
How would you like to dance? Interpretive. So I tried to bypass Arya because I already knew where I had to go, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
So that was annoying.
Yeah.
Fine, I guess I'll go talk to her.
So you go talk to her. She tells you about Archangel. And you go, well, I guess I've got plenty of time. And you're like, but Archangel doesn't. Or whatever that exchange is essentially telling you, like, you better hurry up. And then you have to go interact with, I think it's a Blue Sun who's doing the recruiting in the basement, in the downstairs area of that first level of the bar.
Yep.
And you go in, he checks you out, realizes you're more than qualified.
Actually,
oh,
he says to me, you're in the wrong room. Stripper auditions are down the hall.
What? Oh, no.
To which I can reply, do you want to be shot?
Wow. Yeah, that didn't happen to me.
I can draw my gun on him.
Wow.
I think that was a renegade option to draw my gun on him. And I did. I was like, fuck you, don't sexually harass me. I have a gun.
Yeah. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Although I must have seen that on one of my FemShep playthroughs, but I didn't remember that. Yeah, he just looks at my party and goes, "Oh, you all look well equipped. I guess you can go do your thing."
Nope. Don't you look sweet? Stripper auditions are down the hall.
That's
Yep.
gross. I mean,
Yep.
I don't I understand why BioWare did that. They want you to hate these guys, and that's a shitty thing to do, and they're shitty mercs, so I get it, but still, it's like...
Still no.
It's still gross.
You didn't get that comment.
No.
It's unfair.
It is. I also am handsome enough to be a stripper. Why didn't I get the stripper comment?
Anyway,
and then after...
Because there are no male strippers in this universe. Let's talk about that for a second.
Oh, yeah, I
Just
know.
So angry.
Yeah. Well, in this bar, it seems like it's only Asaris also.
It is. It is only Asari.
But yeah, so in that club at least, if they prefer Asari, there are only female
Right.
Asaris. But yes, there are no male strippers in this world that I've seen. Get on that, BioWare.
Please.
Patch it.
Please.
Um,
Someone do me a mod.
You want a Turian stripper, I know.
I want the entire spectrum.
That's fair. But yeah, and so after you have this conversation, to whichever degree it goes, when you're leaving, a youngin' upstart
The baby.
comes in trying to be a mercenary.
Oh,
And,
baby, no.
and you take his gun and break it.
Well, if you're a Paragon.
Right.
But yes, I did. I did break his gun.
Yeah, I think if the renegade option is you just draw your gun on him.
No.
Or threaten him.
I really don't think there is.
No? Huh. I don't remember.
If there is a renegade option, I think it's like scaring him. I'm going to have to look into it.
It must be like some kind of scaring.
If anyone's a renegade, please send us that clip.
Please. But yeah, so you take his gun, break it, and say, "You'll thank us for it." And he looks at you very puzzled. Like, what the hell just happened?
He's so mad. He spent 50 whole credits on that gun.
That's not a lot.
A basic pistol is 300 credits, my dude. You got some real
Your
cheap
gun
shit.
wasn't going to work. We just broke it worse.
Yeah. You got
Go
some real
get your
cheap
money
shit.
back. So yeah, and then you're off to fly over to where Archangel is and go after him. And by go after him, take out the people going after him.
Yeah. So before you do that, you actually get this opportunity to speak with every merc group that's lined up to take out Archangel.
Yep.
So we have the Blue Suns, the Blood Pack, and Eclipse.
Yep.
And you get to talk to each leader as well.
They're all jerks. They all hate you. Unless you have Zaid, then the Blue Suns actually treat you with respect because Zaid knows the leader of the Blue Suns.
Right.
Shocking.
Yeah. So, and you find out what Archangel did to each of these people.
Yeah.
The leader of the Blue Suns, Archangel went after him in his home.
Yep.
He tried to take out the leader of the Blood Pack one-on-one, but when the Blood Pack leader's gang showed up, he had to run because he couldn't take them all by himself.
Right.
And the Eclipse, I can't remember why he annoyed the Eclipse, but he has annoyed all of them thoroughly.
Yes.
We have the Eclipse that are very techie.
Yeah.
The Blood Pack are all Krogan and Vorcha.
Yep.
And Blue Suns are much more into their guns.
They're more military.
Yeah, they're more
focused,
military.
Yeah, and so when you're going through this area, also there's an opportunity in a room full of mechs to hack and mess with the mechs. So when it comes time, the large mech will turn on its controller.
Yep, I did that. I hacked that, big boy.
And so did I. And then, I did talk to all those people as well. They aren't very keen to talk to you, but like I said before, when you go to the Blue Suns, Zaid knows the leader of the Blue Suns, so if he's with you, he'll put in a good word, finger quotes. And then you get to talk to his second in command.
Yeah. And
she gives you a rundown of everything that's going on and is more tactical with you than the other leaders are.
Yeah.
And then after that, you go introduce yourself to the person who's like giving the okay to spearhead, who's over fixing one of the flying ships.
Yeah, the gunship.
Raptor?
It's called the gunship.
Oh, it's called a gunship.
Yeah.
And you get an option where you can sabotage it by taking him out. Mm-hmm. It's a renegade action.
You literally stab him in the back.
Yeah, and I did not take it.
I did.
Okay.
Because I, assessed this situation.
Uh-huh.
I knew that getting to Archangel was going to be easy enough because they were throwing a whole bunch of freelancers at him.
Right.
And we were going in with the freelancers. So getting to him was going to be easy. Getting out was not going to be. So any advantage I could give us, we needed.
Yeah, after I found out that he wasn't a soldier and that he literally just fixes stuff.
He kind of is.
Yeah, but he's not part of the assault, and I just couldn't bring myself to stab some guy in the back who was working on a ship who wasn't fighting.
I could, for my survival.
I've trusted in my ability to shoot people.
If it means that I can get out without dying, then yes, I will do it.
And that's fair. I just felt more comfortable shooting people in the face than in the back.
So I stabbed him. Anyway. So yeah, you join up with the freelancers, and as soon as you're like over the wall and you're all trying to get across the bridge and distract Archangel so he doesn't realize other things are happening, you turn on them.
And just take them all out.
And take everybody out. Archangel hits you at least once.
At least. I think I got pegged 2 or 3 times. And then when you get across the bridge and get upstairs, there's the big dramatic reveal that it's Garrus.
Archangel is really Garrus Vicarian.
And you give him some smugness about shooting you, and he's like, well, I had to make it look real. Yeah. I didn't want them to know that you were going to turn on them.
Concussive rounds only. He had to get you moving.
Yes.
I remember the shock the first time that I played this mission, and it was like everything was less bleak.
Yeah.
With Garrus back, I was back on track.
Yeah.
Like, with Garrus on the team, as long as he was supporting me, then I knew that this is the right thing.
Right.
Because Garrus wouldn't let me do something that was bad.
Not to the extreme, at least, that it could be with the Elusive Man, right.
So, he's different now, though.
Yeah, and, like, for me, like, of course, there's the shock value the first time you play this game of, like, oh my god, it's my friend, and Shepard's reaction is your reaction. Oh my god, Garrus, it's you. Which is really cool. But it is like the whole reveal is really cheesy once you know it's coming, because it's the slow pan from the feet up. He puts the one foot up, the helmet comes off, and they show the helmet under his arm. Like, they really milk it, which I actually enjoy.
I do too.
Knowing that it's coming now. Although, of course, you know, when you first see him, you're like, oh, it's a Taurian. Archangel's a Taurian. Cool. A new Taurian. I wonder who it is. It's Garrus. It's even better. You know, I also forgot, just in the few moments I got to talk to him, how bromancy Garrus and Male Shep are. Like, they go tit for tat with jabs really fast. And he'll do that with Femshep too.
Yeah.
But, like, because there's no romance option, it's just very much a bromance, and it's very enjoyable. Also, I love the voice actor who plays Garrus, so it's always fun to interact. But he essentially gives you the lowdown on everything that's going on, and then you have to thin out the attack force so you guys can escape.
Yeah, Garrus is funnier now. He is engaging more in gallows humor.
He's more sarcastic than he was. He's definitely lived a life and a half since you last saw him.
Yeah. So he's kind of a different man, but he is still, like, the same man that you knew. When he says to you, you do what you do best, I got all warm and fuzzy inside. It's like, thank you for appreciating me. I haven't felt appreciated since someone woke me up on a strange facility after being dead for 2 years.
Yeah, he's definitely more mature. I think that's what made it so obvious, his immaturity in the first game when we played for the podcast, is knowing that this comes and that he grows. He's seen a lot of shit, essentially, and has changed who he is. But at the core, he's still the same guy, but he's definitely grown more.
Did you shoot the mech?
I did.
I did too.
I took the renegade option because
we were going to shoot them anyway.
And it's a really smooth move.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, it's pretty much flirting at that point. for your Shepard.
Seeing the big mech turn the tables was so good.
It's so satisfying. And so in that moment that it happens, so they attack in waves. It's first Eclipse, then Blood Pack, and then the Blue Suns. Mm-hmm. And when the mechs are with Eclipse, when they bring out the giant mech and he immediately turns, you could shoot it and take it out, but I didn't. I let it kill everything, and then I killed the mech.
Oh, I did that too. I kind of like let the mech just do its thing.
Yeah.
And then when it was done, or when it was killed, then I took out whoever was left.
Same. And that was really satisfying. And then you fight, I think his name is Jareth, is the head of Eclipse. Yeah, Eclipse.
Yeah, Eclipse.
And you fight him and take him out, and then you get story time. In case you missed why they hated you from their perspective, you can now get it from Garrus. But it's more or less the same thing. Mm-hmm. He explains the same thing, but from the side of, I was doing a justice.
Yeah.
All the justices.
Someone has to.
And then
Someone has to be Batman.
After you talk to him, the next wave starts. The blood pack are coming in the back exit.
So here, you find out that they're coming in from the basement, basically.
Yep.
And you have
coming
the option.
in through the rear. Waka waka waka.
You're the worst.
I am.
You have the option of taking both your party members with you or leaving someone behind to defend Garrus.
I left somebody behind.
I did too.
I left Zaid and I took Morden with me.
I feel like I left Morden and took
that
Zaid.
was a mistake. Because I like Morden, but combat-wise, at this early point in the game, he is not super powerful. So when you're down a party member, it shows. And I died quite a few times. Also, I'm playing on the PC, and so I'm readjusting to controls every time I jump in because I'm not playing it frequently enough.
Right.
My PlayStations have been too far apart. And I died quite a few times. On the larger room with the big shutter that you have to go run to the back of the room to shut it and fight through multiple waves, that's where I kept dying.
Yeah, that's a difficult room.
It's a difficult room also. And so, but I did wish I had Zaid because Zaid hangs back and is a sniper and will take people out. Whereas Morden gets more in the fray and has elemental damages and is an engineer. And so, like, it was harder. But I got through it. It was just a pain in the ass.
Yeah, there's that first room where it's bigger and all the enemies are kind of coming at you at once. And you have to close the shutter within a certain amount of time.
Yep.
And then there's a smaller kind of like alley.
Yeah, that you have to like hop over barricades and get around the corner. Actually, the first shutter is really easy. It's a small shutter that you just run down and pretty much close it to give you the sense of the mechanics. And then there's the hallway room, which sucks, and the big room. Something we haven't mentioned yet that is going on at this point in the game is Archangel has a health bar that becomes Garrus's health bar when he reveals he's Garrus. And if you leave someone with him, it goes down slower. If you take all of your party with you, then his health does go down a little faster, and so you have to move more quickly.
Yeah.
Although I think it cancels itself out personally because you have to move slower when you only have one person with you, and so I think it's a wash.
Yeah.
But,
I think it comes down to like your moral choices.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day also, I mean, we're both playing on the normal difficulty, I think. And
casual.
So, you're playing casual. Okay, I'm playing on the normal difficulty. And, like, even on the normal difficulty, his health goes down slow enough that I don't think you're ever in any real danger of him being taken out.
Yeah, no.
On the harder difficulties, it does go down much faster, and it's a much harder mission to complete.
Yeah.
Which adds a sense of challenge, which I totally get. Of course, after we complete this and get back into the base, then the Blue Suns attack, and they're coming from a different entrance.
They're coming from, like, outside with a gunship.
Yeah, so they come with the gunship, and they're also, like, rappelling up the walls, essentially.
Yeah. They use the gunship that Garrus actually took out initially.
Yeah.
And it is only half repaired, so it can only do so much. So that makes...
for you, it was half repaired.
Yes.
I didn't take the guy out, so mine had full shields.
Okay, so mine was half repaired. So that made the fight a little easier for me. But Garrus still got seriously hurt.
So yeah, after you take out the gunship, no matter what Garrus's health is like at that point before the gunship, he gets ripped apart by the minigun and collapses. You fight your battle, it ends, and then you go run to Garrus. And I remember the first time playing this game, you know, you're yelling at Garrus, stay with me, and while it's panning out and fading, he makes this gurgling noise that is horrendous. Like, you think he's dead. Like, and that's the design of it. Like, his blood's everywhere. He makes a mouth gurgling sound like he's choking on his own blood, and then it fades to inside the ship. So the first time I played this, I was like, oh, well, that's it. They gave me Garrus and took him away. Screw you, game. That's twice you've messed with my emotions. But of course that doesn't happen.
Right. Shepard, like, over Garrus possibly dying is so heartbreaking for me because she just got one good thing back and she might lose him already. Like, I destroy every single merc group ever in defense of someone with that much meaning to me.
Right. And even as someone who's not pursued a relationship with Garrus, because Mel Shepard literally can't, which is bogus, there's still a strong connection there. You and Garrus are closer than just about anyone else on your ship besides Joker. Like, Joker is probably your best friend. Garrus is a close second, even if you're not pursuing a relationship with him. But you get back to the ship, you're meeting with Jacob, and Jacob's doing the whole, well...
We did our best.
We did our best. We did what we could. But there was some cybernetics, and then, of course, Garrus walks in seconds later. And then you can exchange jabs. I'm curious if you get to do this response also, but my response is like... when Garrus asks you how bad it is, and you go, well, you were always ugly, Garrus.
I got to say that too.
And then he goes, well, it's about time we even the score. I mean, me getting all the ladies and all, now you have an even shot.
Yeah. To me, he says, well, can't be that bad. Some women like facial scars. Granted, those women are Krogan. And I wanted to be like, some are human.
Yeah. And it's at that moment that I remembered that Garrus and Shepard have this great bromance that it is very similar to the kinds of friendships I have with a lot of other male-presenting individuals. A lot of them have this sense of jab for jab, and like how I test friendships is by picking on people, and if they can take it, it goes back to an old Christopher Titus special that we used to love back in the day. Essentially, if you can say to someone, hey, nice shirt, dickhead, and they go, I'll be wearing the shirt as long as you're wearing those shoes, it's kind of like a tit for tat. They're the kind of person who can take a joke and you can have a friendship with. And I get that sense from Garrus, and it was really refreshing to have that moment. Because I know it happens. It's one of my favorites, but it really, like you said, it's like, I have something good now that's mine. He's mine. Mine.
You can't take him from me.
Yeah. I was hoping though, and he didn't. But he says he's going to go to the forward guns and hang out there. And I really wanted some one line about calibrating, but
not yet.
It's not a running gag yet. This is the game where it becomes a running gag.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like there's a throwaway line in the third game about calibrations. There must be.
And there's another one in Citadel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never
You haven't played Citadel.
I haven't played Citadel.
It upsets me so much because I want to reference things and I can't because you don't know.
We'll get there together. Just like Andromeda, we'll get there together. But yeah, so that's the end of that mission.
So many Andromeda jokes I want to tell you.
I know.
I can't. I'm going to write them all down in a notebook so that way when we're playing I can You're
going to keep a journal.
Show them. I can circle them and show them to you.
And so that's the Archangel Garrus mission. I do like when you're talking to him between the battles and you ask about, you're like, so Archangel, huh? He's like, that's just the name the locals gave me for saving them. But, I'm just Garrus to you, Shepard.
Did you see that meme that I sent you?
Which one? I mean, I did, but which?
Garrus then. Oh, it's just Garrus to you. Garrus in Mass Effect 3. I heard that Archangel has an 8-pack. I heard they shredded.
Yeah.
I love him.
I do too. I'm a big fan of that character. He's obviously a fan favorite. A lot of people.
Everyone loves Garrus.
Everybody does.
And I think that the reason everybody loves Garrus is because he is with you from the beginning. And
he's one of two characters that can be in your squad that's with you in all three games.
Right.
Yeah.
Just that loyalty is so inspiring.
Also, his character is really well written. And while a lot of the characters are I won't say one-dimensional, but maybe 1.5-dimensional because the characters are well written for the way it's delivered, but it's not delivered as in depth as 2 and 3 are. But the characters are so much more fleshed out in 2 and 3, and Garrus is one of those characters that really grows by leaps and bounds, and he's already almost a different person, like we said, when you meet him here, and he only grows from there.
Yeah,
but definitely. You get to grow with him because now you're together on the ship.
Yeah. And just personally, someone that I can look at and say, hey, I've been through some shit, but I need you to have my back, and who has your back.
Right.
Is really important to me.
It is. It's one of the reasons I actually trust my Shepard, and my logic for trusting Zaid more than anyone else on the ship is because he's being paid to complete this mission. If he dies or I die, he doesn't get paid. And that's brutally honest.
Yeah.
And so I trust him because he's efficient and I know where his loyalty lies to himself. And so I don't have to worry about anything. Yeah. Which is a very similar position that I am in. Zaid is much like Shepard because Shepard's just there because of the resources and to get the job done.
See, what bothers me, Joker says something about Zaid. He says, well, Zaid's like you, except he takes checks.
Yeah.
And that bothers me.
It's fair. Yeah, he's not doing it for the good of mankind. He's doing it to get paid.
It bothers me because I don't think I'm like Saeed. Like, I don't think my shepherd is like Saeed.
Okay.
I don't think that she is as brutal or, like... There's just something about Zaid that being compared to him makes me question my own choices.
That's fair. I think it's... for one, Joker would say what he says just to get under your skin because it's Joker.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is there is a similarity to the positions you're in. I would agree. I don't think I want to be considered just like him because if I were playing a Renegade Shepherd, then for sure, the similarities are probably closer. But definitely playing a more Paragon-focused Shepherd as we both are, it does seem a little apples and oranges.
Yeah.
But again, I still do trust him more than I can. I trust him more than Miranda or Jacob at this point.
Well, yeah, because...
Like I said, his motives are, there's nothing to question. If you die, he doesn't get paid. So yay Zaid and yay Garrus.
Yeah.
Screw the rest of them.
So happy to have him in my squad now.
I know.
Like, I'm ever going to have anyone else ever again.
Yeah. I want to try and be diverse, but at this point, like, it's going to be either Moradin and Garrus or the next person we get and Garrus, and more about that later.
You want to get into Fandom Corner?
Sure, let's do it.
So I have something that you'll probably get kind of excited about.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the Star Wars tabletop game?
Of course.
Genesis?
Yes.
Someone wrote a Mass Effect mod for it called Singularity.
Yes, I've heard of this.
It's really good. I've been playing it with my friends Brian, May, and Tim, and John. And it's actually really fun.
Yeah, the Genesis system is a really great system, especially for novice D&D players, because it focuses more on pairing dice than calculating numbers.
Yeah. I don't love the dice, mostly because I can't hold the meaning of the symbols in my head. So, like, I can't roll the dice and tell you immediately what any of it means.
Right, but for a lot of players, it's pattern recognition, which is easier than doing the math.
Right, so I personally cannot do that.
Which I can understand.
But there's an app, so like if I have my laptop with me, I can go to the website, enter what it is I have to roll, and it will tell me what it means.
That's awesome.
So it will say like you rolled 5 successes, 2 failures, like whatever.
Yeah.
And it will kind of like balance everything out, so I don't have to do the matching. It'll
That's
tell
awesome.
me the final outcome. So it's been really fun so far. We're playing kind of pre-Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
We're on Omega. We're a very small gang. We are not a malicious gang. We're more like a small group of vigilantes, I guess you would say.
Like Robin Hood.
Yeah, kind of. We protect one particular slum.
Uh-huh.
We collect protection fees.
Okay,
but
that's
they're
kind
more
of
like
shitty.
they're more like donations. Like if you're not gonna pay us, we're not gonna like beat you up.
Okay. Yeah, then that's not really protection money. Because protection money usually insinuates you're going to get a punch in the face.
Yeah, it's more like any money you give us helps us to keep you safe.
Got it.
So it's more like a fund that helps us protect the neighborhood.
Got it.
And we did a couple of missions. One mission, we were trying to break up a slave ring, a Batarian slaver ring, and they actually got demolished by collectors. So we kind of like stumbled in on a bunch of collectors killing them, and we were just like, and we're gonna leave now? Okay, bye.
Not messing with those insect-looking motherfuckers.
Above my pay grade.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, bye. And then our second mission was solving a murder, and we got involved with the Eclipse group.
Nice.
So we are becoming a larger gang.
Interesting.
Essentially. So it's really cool the way that you can tell a story and build your character is very interesting. They have specific traits that they pulled from Genesis, and then they wrote new ones, and specific species traits that you can have for Turian Krogan. We don't have any humans in our party, by the way.
Because why would you? If I could not be a human in Mass Effect, I wouldn't be a human.
Yeah.
You know, I never play any human characters in the multiplayer for, what was that, the third game had the multiplayer? Like, never, because I can be a Krogan and bum rush people in multiplayer. Yeah. Why would I be a human?
Yeah, so I'm playing a Turian Huntress. John is playing a Krogan Warlord. May.
Mm-hmm.
She's playing a Quarian on pilgrimage.
Aye.
And she's like a compulsive liar.
Oh, no.
And a sniper. She's very squishy. And I don't know if you've ever met our friend Tim, but he's playing an Elcor.
Amazing.
It's so good.
Does he talk like an Elcor?
He does. It's amazing.
That's good. Yeah. That's like, if I were to play a race in Mass Effect, I'd want to play either Hanar or Elcor just to do, or Volus, just to do the role-playing part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Genesis system. I was playing in my friend Matt's Star Wars game, though I think because of my lack of availability, they've kind of moved on, which is fine. But I really like the Genesis system. I'm pretty familiar and fluent with Pathfinder and I think 4th and 5th generation D&D, so I can do the number game and I can do the meta game and the math, but I don't love it. And so like Genesis, that system allows me to play more easily. The only downside to Genesis that I've seen is systems like Roll20, which is a web-based way to play D&D, doesn't really integrate with Genesis. There's no real way. I imagine there are dice rollers, but, you know, bots rolling numbers are easy. Bots rolling symbol, not so much. And so that's the only bummer about Genesis is I can't really play it online. Most of my friends are scattered across the U.S.
Yeah.
And those are the ones I play D&D with. But that said, this does sound really cool. I had been hearing about it for a while. And it makes sense to translate Star Wars to Mass Effect because they are in similar spaces.
Yeah, they're space fantasy.
Space operas.
Yeah. You want to hear some of the Hanar special abilities?
Sure.
Levitating.
Of course.
Hanar who leave their homeworld are equipped with levitating devices that allow them to hover several feet off the ground. When hovering, Hanar do not have to spend additional maneuvers when navigating difficult terrain. They may move vertically, but must perform twice as many maneuvers to move the same distance that they would move horizontally. They also do not take falling damage, unless this device is somehow disabled. Typically, this will not happen unless the Hanar is incapacitated. They're also amphibious. They can breathe underwater without penalty. They have weak arms.
Yeah. They have noodle arms.
They may not spend experience at character creation to increase their brawn characteristic. They have a small profile. Hanar are considered silhouette 0 creatures, so I guess that would be like classing them as small.
Yeah, I think so.
They decrease their encumbrance threshold by 2. Their species ability is additional limbs. Hanar gain additional free maneuver per turn.
Right, because they have multiple legs.
Yeah, and their heritage talent is something that wouldn't make sense if I read it out loud.
Okay.
But yeah, some of these are really funny. Species ability for Hanar. Once per encounter, Elcor may spend a maneuver to focus. Focusing provides an Elcor with an extra blue dice on their next skill check. That's not as funny as I thought it was going to be when I started saying it. They're a living tank. When using a mounted weapon, the Elcor can spend a number of maneuvers to brace himself in preparation for the recoil. They're massive. High gravity adaptation. Elcor may remove any black dice. I'm looking for something funny. Ponderous. Elcor may never spend more than 1 maneuver to move per turn. Slow reflexes. Elcor may not spend experience at character creation to increase their agility characteristic.
Because they are slow.
Yes. Let's see. Oh, I forgot that we could be Drell.
Well, this seems really awesome. Where can people find this version of the Genesis system, Singularity?
Honestly,
just Google it?
Yeah, just Google it. This was sent to me. Does this have... Yeah, it's a free unlicensed fan project, and you can also buy the Genesis core rulebook, which you should, because some things in it refers to the core rulebook.
And whenever you're playing in a new system, even if it's modded, you should always buy the core rulebook.
Yeah. So that's what I have for Fandom Corner. If you want to message me on Twitter about it, I'll be happy to talk about it a lot and tell you the adventures of Carminaria, who is my Turian huntress. Got it.
It almost sounded like their name was Marinara. I was like, are they Italian? I don't understand.
Carminaria.
Yeah, I got it.
Anyway, well, that was it. So, before we wrap up, we have some new reviews.
Yes. If you would like your review read on the air, all you have to do is go to iTunes, your podcast catcher of choice, or Facebook, and write us a kind review, and we will read it on the air. The preferences are iTunes and Facebook, just because those are the easiest for us to find, and they gain us the most benefit to grow our audience. Feel free to read a review, and I will read another review that's not that one.
I'm going to read Emergency Escape Podcast's review.
Okay.
I wish I knew what the full title was because it begins, sincere endorsement, a perfect something.
Yeah, and then it gets cut off. Yeah.
Let's just say a perfect way to spend a day because the next word began with W. So I completed your title for you.
There you go.
I found this podcast quite enjoyable. The two co-hosts break down, mission by mission, the full Mass Effect series, reacting in the moment the way they would in Shepard's shoes. Both hosts are deeply empathetic people and dedicate themselves to giving each party member their due, even the oft-maligned ones. The hosts strive to acknowledge all types of perspectives and identities, exploring some surprisingly personal territory, and the way these games helped work through those experiences. I highly encourage Mass Effect fans to listen in. And then there's a shameless plug.
Yes.
If you enjoyed my performance in Hamlet, be sure to check out Francis Kitt's new vid, War and Peace, now available for streaming.
So,
also, I guess listen to Emergency Escape Podcast.
Because that's where the comment comes from.
So, listen to that too.
I will read Scotty Scottish because I like his name. I'm assuming he, because Scotty, if I'm wrong on your pronoun, please correct me. I prefer to be corrected. You should be listening. The hosts of Reignite at Reignite Pod, Matt at DJ_Stormageddon and MJ at iHoard Libraries, have great chemistry with each other and a deep love for the universe of Mass Effect. As they play through, their unique backgrounds and perspectives allows them to present the games in a completely new light. Issues and aspects of the game that may have gone unnoticed are highlighted and discussed with respect, passion, and a good deal of humor. The only issues that I could point out is their endemic misrepresentation and underestimation of Liara, and that new episodes only drop every other Thursday. Anyone that loves Mass Effect should be listening and probably playing along, even if it's your 18th playthrough.
Look, before I read the last review, Liara is a sweet baby in Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
No one can argue with me on that. She
Yeah.
is a sweet little baby child. In Mass Effect 2, things change. I grant you that. We're not there yet, my dude.
Yeah, patience.
We will talk about how she changes.
We will cover all of your favorite stands, I promise.
Fret not. And apparently I'm going to have some romance with her, and I'm going to be real confused.
That's true, because her photo's on your desk.
Anyway, last review, it's a short one from our good friend Drew Mick. You heard him here last week. Not last week, last episode.
Yes.
Playing through... Title, an essential to any Mass Effect fan. Playing through Mass Effect while listening to this podcast. Cannot recommend enough.
Thanks. Short but sweet. We appreciate it, Drew. If you have not caught our last episode, and for some reason this is your first episode, our last episode...
That would be a weird flex.
It would be a weird flex, but okay. It's called The Professor. It's about Morden Solus. Drew Mick was our guest. Please go check out Drew Mick's podcast, Headline Heroes. Him and two co-hosts whose names I am blanking on, and I apologize, take a headline that's recommended by the listeners from their box O headlines and make either a superhero or a supervillain. They create a backstory, a costume, and a name for this hero or villain. They just, as recently as when we're recording, released their 99th issue/episode with a magician-based character from a headline about a man who is stealing ribs from a supermarket in his pants. Trust me, it's funnier than it sounds. Go check out Headline Heroes.
Okay, another thing is there's a podcast coming out called the Charcuterie Podcast, where they sample podcasts from all across the internet, and Reignite is actually going to be on their next episode. So check out the Charcuterie Podcast. I'm sure they're on any of your favorite podcatchers.
Probably. I mean, most people are these days.
Yes.
Also, you can find me actually on one of the other certain POV podcasts. I will be on Real Movie News and Reviews with Addie and Hans. They invited me to come chat at the tail end of their episode about Detective Pikachu, which I saw recently, and with only one major minor gripe, was a delight and a lot of fun.
I can't wait to see it.
I really love it. I can't talk to you about my gripe because it's a spoiler.
Yeah, don't do it.
But
Not if you want to keep being my friend and doing this podcast with me.
That's fair. But Ryan Reynolds is a delight, and I just want to hug Pikachu all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like MJ is going to bond pretty hard with Psyduck in that movie.
I love Psyduck so much.
I know. Well, just wait till you see how Psyduck's portrayed in a world where like he lives free and needs to be taken care of. It's just
I too get headaches and have anxiety,
and your head might explode, killing everyone
possibly. Okay, any other plugs? I have a couple of projects coming up. I am working on a fiction podcast with Case Aiken, also from Certain POV, that is in the works. I'm doing a Tamara Pierce podcast called Circle of Friendship. I will hopefully start releasing those episodes in June, fingers crossed. And hopefully by the summer I'll be doing a Rob Thomas podcast. No, not that one.
Yeah, not that guy. Not that smooth guy.
Whichever one you're thinking about, it's
the other one. Exactly. Although I do want to be a guest on that episode and just like talk about Matchbox 20 the whole time, and then you'd be like, but Matt, the wrong podcast.
You've been reading my journals again.
Oh, is this an idea you had
This
already?
was an idea that I had.
Yes.
I was going to have you on and be like, we're going to talk about Rob Thomas, let you talk about Matchbox 20.
Excellent.
And then Alex and I would just let you go for a while and be like, okay, but what did you think of that Veronica Mars episode that I sent you?
That would be fun. I'm in. Let me know. I'm down.
Yeah, okay. So the next episode we're going to do is The Convict. We don't have a guest for that one. It'll just be classic MJ and Matt action.
I'm looking forward to this one. This is a character who I think I may interact differently now that I am older and in a different place in life than when I was younger and dumber, to put it quite frankly. So I'm excited for this character and to also just see how I view their story differently. Because they are a troubled character with a lot of struggle, and I've seen a lot more of that now as an adult than I did as a kid. So yeah, that's our next episode. Join us for that. Play through it now. Well, not right now. Wait till the episode's over.
I mean, they could be listening to us while they're playing.
I mean, they might multitask. I'm no good at that, but they might be. So yeah, so join us for The Convict on our next episode. And let's do our show notes. Let's do our last minute plugs and promotion of the site.
So if you like what you heard here, follow us on social media. If you like what you heard here, follow us on social media.
Yes.
I'm just going to say social meds like Alex does from
now
on.
Oh, God. Please don't. Please don't.
We are at ReignitePod on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. You can find us at facebook.com/reignitepod or send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. We love hearing from our fans, friends, listeners. Oh, God.
Yeah.
So confusing.
I know.
Love hearing from all of you and love sharing your emails on the podcast. So
yes.
Please write to us. Even if it's just to like vent for a little bit, I'm sure we can relate to you.
Yes, totally. As I said earlier, you can also write us a review on your podcatcher of choice or on iTunes, and you can of course find us on certainpov.com, an incredible network with a ton of different podcasts. You can also join the conversation with us on the internets under Discord. The link to our Discord channel for all of Certain POV is on the website. And there's a channel just for Reignite where we talk about game recommendations. Our friend Rob shares way too many memes, and we love him for it.
It's not too many. It's the perfect amount of memes. Don't you discourage Rob from sharing memes.
Fair
Rob,
enough.
don't listen to him.
And we also chat quite a bit about the games. There's even a spoilers channel, mostly for my sake, of Andromeda, so I'm not spoiled on it because I have not played it yet.
I need to talk to people about Andromeda because I have feelings.
It's fair.
You know what, that thread is going to become, these are the things I can't wait for Matt to discover. It's going to be a running list.
We also have spoiler threads for Detective Pikachu and Endgame. You know, there's a lot to talk about on the site and all of the different shows that are done. So please join us for a conversation on Discord. Is that it? I think I covered everything.
There's one last thing. Thank you to Christina Spinks for our latest It's Okay to be a Marshmallow t-shirt on Redbubble featuring our favorite marshmallow, Kaden Alenko. You can find more of her work at Chaos Does Art on Instagram, where you can also commission her. We'd also like to thank David Boyle for designing our logo, which you can also get on a shirt through Redbubble, hint, hint. They have 20% discounts all the time. And Dan Bull for letting us use the Mass Effect rap for our theme music.
Yes, I love that track.
This has been Reignite, and I'm MJ.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. We should go. Do you like movies?
Any movies. Old movies, new movies.
Bad movies.
Sad movies.
I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And I'm Rachel Corky Shank.
And together we host Screen Snark, a movie podcast for movie lovers by movie lovers.
It's a podcast dedicated to the movies that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts.
Featuring guests of a wide selection of entertainment backgrounds, performers, writers, creatives.
So please join us for the casual cinema conversation every other Monday wherever you get your podcasts.
And follow us on Twitter at screen_snark, and we'll see you at the movies. All right, we're supposed to do that bit together.